Alright guys, so I've laid out a couple things here on my table, and interestingly enough, I'm going to only talk about one of these today, but when talking about silver, I think that a lot of this stuff is kind of interesting, like why they came up with their certain designs, like why did this Philharmonic end up looking like this, or why did these kangaroos, why did they choose the kangaroo and not the something else, or these Britannias, what's the history behind this symbolism that they used. So pretty much what I did is I laid out all these various designs that I have in my stack, and I want to just make a little habit, I guess, of every Sunday I'm going to make a little video talking about the history of one of these. So today is going to be the peace dollar. I'm going to cut towards that talk, and we're going to find out what's going on with this peace dollar. Why is this peace dollar like this? Etc. I find it super interesting, and I'm going to make this a weekly thing, so eventually I'll get to learn everything I can about all of the coins I own. And the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm starting, is because somebody called me a retard for not knowing why the back of the Mercury dime was like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's real, that's nice to hear, I guess. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, I guess they're right. I don't know anything about this Mercury dime. And so, yeah. So that's why I'm going to start it. So I can not be a total failure, I guess. Maybe you guys can learn too. And you'll have something cool to tell your friends or something. I don't know. But yeah, stick with me here. All right, be right back. Okay guys, so I'm back here with a little bit of a peace dollar talk. I want to start off just kind of by describing what the peace dollar is. Peace dollar is a $1 coin. This particular coin is 90% silver. All peace dollars are. And they have about 0.77 troy ounces of silver in them, which is pretty cool. That's more than your average face value of junk. Your average face value of junk is 0.715-ish. But I know in the past, precious metal companies and the governments and all of that got together. They kind of decided that junk silver had experienced a fair amount of wear and tear in its past, and that they would use 0.715 as their standard of how much silver would be in your average face value of junk. So it's pretty cool that this is one face dollar of junk, in quotes, if you will, but it's 0.77, so it doesn't follow that same rule that the other junk silvers have. The other thing that follows this is the Morgan dollar. And it's good I brought up the Morgan dollar because she will appear in this conversation. So let's get in on the history of the peace dollar. So basically, April 23rd, 2018, there was a Silver Coinage Act that was passed. And it was pretty much stating that the United States was required to supply the UK with silver as melted refined silver. So what we did to satisfy that was we melted down over $207 million worth of Morgan dollars to extract the silver as pure refined silver, and sell it to the UK. And so after all of that happened, at the time, these Morgan dollars were backing silver that the United States had in its reserves. And the peace dollar was going to be created because it was going to be replacing all of the Morgan dollars in the reserves that were melted down in order to supply the UK with refined silver. So they had like a little contest, and they had 8 different artists submit their designs, I guess, and then they kind of narrowed it down to this one, and so that's how this peace dollar was born. Interestingly enough, it's not like we can do this whenever we want. Apparently, we have like a thing in place saying we can't change the way coinage looks if it's going to be legal tender until it's been minted for at least 25 years. But luckily, the Morgan dollar was minted for a lot longer than that. So this peace dollar was allowed to happen. So that's like the history, I guess. The reason they wanted it to be a peace dollar was because World War I, at the time it was known as the Great War, was just wrapping up. And we wanted to say, like, look, we're done fighting, and, let's be at ease for a little bit and make a dollar that represents peace. And so this was the design. And on the back you can see there's an eagle with some rays. And then if I had a better sample here, which you can kind of read it there, it says peace on the bottom underneath this eagle. Now, the interesting part, I guess, to me, about this peace dollar is that the artist actually modeled this after his wife. So he had a pretty good looking wife. Or he was just a generous artist. You be the judge. But it's supposed to look like a mixture, I guess, of his wife and Liberty. And so that's where the face came from this. On the back, though, the original design was a broken sword, and pretty much the mint had a discussion with the press, and they were like, look, we can't show you our drawings before it's done. Like, you can't observe what the coin's going to look like, but we'll describe it to you. And when they had described that the back was a broken sword, there was like a public outcry, like, what? We're the United States. We can't just have a broken sword on the back of our coin. It'll make us look weak. And so what happened was they decided to cover up that sword. So the dies and stuff were already made. They decided to cut on the same die and formed this eagle and this olive branch, and that's actually covering up the old sword that used to be there, which is pretty cool in my opinion. They didn't make a new die because they had time constraints. They just kind of drew over it like a tattoo cover-up or something and made this pretty awesome looking eagle on the back, perched on this rock with the olive branch. That's cool in my opinion. So now we have the peace dollar, so it's kind of the successor to the Morgan dollar, which I'll talk about in another future Sunday. Yeah, hopefully those are kind of the cliff notes. I mean, I'm no historian, I'm no numismatist, numa guy, whatever you call them. I'm not a coin expert, okay? I just did a little bit of research, and that's what I could find out, and I thought that it was fascinating. Maybe I'd share it with you guys. If you liked what you saw today and you're interested in learning some more coin history once a week, I'll likely go through all the junk first, and then I'll probably start touching on the Britannias and the kangaroos and even the pandas and the koalas and the kookaburras, like why those are the way they are. You should continue to watch and see if maybe you can't get caught up on some of that fact knowledge stuff too, because I'm clearly lacking in that area. Yeah, please like, comment, subscribe if you want to keep up to date with this with me, or if you like my other videos. I have a few unboxings and a special secret coming up pretty soon. But yeah, also feel free to leave me negative comments, negative dislikes, whatever you want, in order to keep myself on track. I don't want to be doing stuff that's boring to you guys. But Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys.